A mother found dead in the woods.
I saw a terrible mess.
New today, we hear from the man who found her body as he describes the gruesome scene.
There was blood everywhere.
Then thousands still without power after severe storms. We're talking with BGE to get a timeline for fixes. A debate over school curriculums. The legal battle from parents who want their children excluded from certain lessons.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
Breaking tonight, Reginald Davis, the former CEO of a major nonprofit in Baltimore, has been indicted. He's accused of illegally obtaining more than $1 million in COVID relief money. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. This is just the latest news to hit the nonprofit Strong City Baltimore.
We're following developments right now from court and also talking to a government watchdog about what these charges mean.
Our coverage begins with Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost with the very latest. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, Reginald Davis pleaded not guilty to these 3 federal charges earlier today during his arraignment in federal court. After that hearing, neither Davis nor his attorney answered any questions or made any comment about this case. But we do know the federal prosecutors allege Davis illegally obtained or fraudulently obtained $1.4 million in the Paycheck Protection Program, or the PPP loan. Now, the prosecutors allege that Davis, while leading Strong City Baltimore, the agency was facing a shortfall. And so to cover that shortfall, that's where that PPP loan came into play. Now, it's unclear exactly why Strong City Baltimore was facing a shortfall in the first place. Other reports indicate that there was some funds mismanagement and allegations of mismanagement here. But we do know that right now that Davis is facing these 3 federal charges. He was released after the hearing, and on a condition of that release, he was ordered to surrender his passport. Now, Davis is currently unemployed. He was served as a CEO of Strong City Baltimore up until December of 2022. According to the agency's website, he's still listed as the leader. I reached out to the board chair, but I haven't heard back yet. Mary?
And Mackenzie, what do we know about those nonprofits who are owed money from Strong City Baltimore?
Yeah, so that's a big question. Within the indictment, nonprofit 1, 2, 3, etc. are listed, but specific names of the nonprofits that were working with Strong City Baltimore are not specifically named. We do know that Strong City Baltimore served as a fiscal sponsor for some smaller nonprofits to help guide them and manage some of those money. It's unclear what nonprofits were involved in this specifically, but it's known that this case will continue to play out. We don't have another hearing yet, and I asked the attorney that will later be scheduled. For now, we're live outside the federal courthouse. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
All right, Mackenzie, thank you. Let's bring in Adam Andrzejewski right now. He's the founder of Open the Books. Adam, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You blew the whistle on Strong City Baltimore right here on Fox 45 News a year ago. What's your reaction to today's indictment?
Well, there was red flags littering the landscape at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. And we put all this out a year ago right here on Fox 45. So at the federal level, obviously, with today's indictment, there's a lot of red flags on alleged money laundering and misuse of funds. But we also noticed that the organization had not posted a federal income tax return online since 2019. And at that point, they only had $80,000 in their bank account, and they were running on $14 million of annual revenue every year. So they were already tight a long time ago. At the state level, the red flag that we identified was that they are delinquent. They're not allowed to solicit under Maryland charitable law charitable funds because they haven't updated their charitable registration since May of 2020, and they owed hundreds of dollars worth of fines. Today, that registration still, even after we flagged that a year ago, had not been updated. And then obviously at the local level. So you had all these organizations saying that Strong Cities Baltimore wasn't managing their own money properly. They weren't filing their payroll on a timely basis. They weren't filing their financial statements. And yet we identified $800,000 in city funds and city school funds flowed with a lack of transparency and no accountability to the organization as late as February of 2022.
Yeah, that is certainly disturbing.
you that.
He says Morin's body found in a pool of blood, suffering severe head trauma, an injury he believes could be the result of a rock.
My daughter said that there was a big rock down there that was all caked in blood.
I understand many of you want answers, and we do too.
The latest update from the Harford County Sheriff's Department declining to mention how Morin died and not yet naming a suspect. This is Morin's boyfriend quickly taking to social media, proclaiming his innocence. Richard Tobin writing, quote, "I love Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I grieve."
I mean, it could have been his way of grieving, but it's not about you. It's about her. It's about bringing her home. And somebody's mother, somebody's daughter. She left behind 5 children.
Whoever the killer is, Gabrzeski convinced it's someone with close ties to the victim.
Because it's too personal. If somebody were just to do a thrill kill, it wouldn't be as brutal as what we witnessed.
Now, court records show Morin's boyfriend does have a history of domestic violence accusations. Today, the Harford County Sheriff's Office said the boyfriend has been interviewed. However, at this point, they say this is still very much an ongoing investigation, and they are not ready to name any suspects in this case. Reporting live from the Monpaw Trail, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Lawmakers and prosecutors are raising concern about juvenile justice laws in Maryland. Laws they say are leading to more crime among young people. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker joins us live right now with strong words from one state delegate and the changes he says are necessary. Maxine?
Well, Kai, Delegate Nino Mingione says it's time to put more pressure on the Democrats to change these laws, which he says are letting young people get away with crime. It's the Juvenile Justice Reform Act that he's referring to, which limits children under 13 to charges for crimes of violence and says a juvenile under 10 cannot be charged. It's a law, Mangione says, has done more harm than good, allowing juveniles to get away with some serious crimes with little to no consequences. 2 Maryland legislative committees plan to look into accusations that the reform laws are contributing to the problem, but Mangione says he doesn't expect much to come of it. Instead, he says he would support a special session.
All ages in Maryland know that you can get away with a lot in this state, and it's because failed policies like this juvenile justice law. I think we must defer to law enforcement and design effective strategies to prevent violent crime and work with prosecutors to impose tough penalties on those, especially the juveniles who commit violent acts. And we should start early and make certain that juveniles know that there is accountability.
Now, 10 states attorneys across Maryland, including Ivan Bates and Scott Schellenberger from Baltimore City and Baltimore County, they tell us that these laws are also tying their hands when it comes to holding young people accountable. Reporting live in Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. A court decision will decide if parents can have their kids opt out of certain lessons. That battle in Montgomery County is going on in what's being taught in schools.
New developments in the race for Baltimore mayor in 2024. What we've learned about the field as one potential candidate has taken themselves out of the running.
And thousands are still without power. The latest on the recovery efforts from the storms earlier this week.
And in fact, a couple of isolated showers this afternoon. Not a whole lot on the radar right now, and it looks like it's just kind of warm and turning more humid as we head into the evening. I'm going to let you know when a better chance of showers and storms arrives with our next weather maker. That's in my Weather Authority forecast.
Thousands across the state still don't have power caused by Monday's storms. The strong rain and wind caused severe flooding in some parts of the state and brought down trees and power lines, some of them crushing roads, homes, and cars.
Well, taking a look now at BGE's outage map, more than 15,000 people still without power tonight. Many of those outages from that severe weather, of course.
Now, around the country, storms have been really destructive and costly this year. According to the National Centers for Environmental Information, the United States has had 15 weather disasters this year. Those storms have each resulted in more than $1 billion worth of damage. That's the most disasters in a single year since it began tracking the storms in 1980.
This tree's completely uprooted going off to the northeast. The storm is going this way, but if you go to the other side of the street, you see snapped and topped and twisted and mangled trees over there.
Last year, the damage done by the wrath of Mother Nature cost at least $177 billion and more than $1 trillion between 2016 and 2022.
I know in our neighborhood we had a lot of sticks and twigs and branches to clean up after the storm. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers is here with more. Kai, did you have cleanup in your neighborhood?
Not much this time, thank goodness.
Interesting.
Not much.
Okay.
Yeah. We're south of the city, didn't have a whole lot by us. Got a beautiful rainbow after it, so that was nice.
That was nice. William got that, right?
William, my son, actually took a beautiful
right.
panoramic shot right around Arundel Mills area. But for now, we're getting some good break time, and we need it after what we saw. We're still feeling the shock waves with some of the still residual power outages and some of those lines down that they're trying to still repair. But a couple of showers here and there have managed to pop up this afternoon. A couple down around Washington, D.C. right now, right inside the Capitol Beltway, actually over downtown Washington, D.C., maybe Georgetown area there. Here in Baltimore, we've quieted down, although did have a few showers up around Carroll and Frederick counties. We zoom out a little further, and you see signs of an increase in moisture. There are showers and thunderstorms that are up towards northern Pennsylvania as well as into New York State. Let's go ahead and pop on the national mode of the radar, and you can see all the rain and thunderstorms out to our west. That's signs of the real next weather maker for us that's going to get here tonight and especially tomorrow. That's when we'll see our rain really begin coming in. So the Towson Cam, this is actually our traffic camera network. You can see in the background Charles Street, the Beltway in the distance, 87, winds out of the west-northwest at about 10. So the winds have died down this afternoon, but now the feels-like temperature is up a little bit as the moisture is beginning to increase. A little touch of extra humidity, some patchy clouds currently on the sky cam there. But we have more showers, again, located up in Pennsylvania. We've seen a couple of those bleed across the Pennsylvania-Maryland line. There is a stray chance, just like we're seeing down around Washington, D.C. right now, of a stray shower, maybe a rumble this afternoon. The lion's share of the time in the lion's share of the area is going to be dry. But this, for tomorrow, yeah, wet weather is coming, and it looks like a good little slug of it, too. The next weather maker moving in for tomorrow morning, maybe by the end of the morning commute. We're going to track it close up on the future scan here in a second. But it looks like it could last all the way into the afternoon before finally pulling out Thursday evening, and then some heat sets up to wrap up the week. There could be a few embedded downpours. It doesn't look like an extremely heavy rain event, but some areas could get, if you get a thunderstorm or two, maybe a half inch, maybe an inch of rain. So the future scan there, those spot showers I was mentioning, they die out shortly after sunset. Temperatures falling from the 80s back into the 70s. It turns stickier by tomorrow morning, and that's because that next system is moving in, pushing moisture our way. The clouds at 7:30 a.m. By about 9:30, it's raining, and then on and off rain tomorrow. Kind of a rain out of a day, actually. It does not look like a good pool day, that's for sure. On and off rain, temperatures near 80, muggy, and maybe even a couple of thunderstorms midday and afternoon before it all kind of moves out, moves east. And things dry out just in time for Friday, but it heats up too, up near 90 on Friday. Could be low to mid-90s into the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, 90 on Monday, a spot shower or thunderstorm. And actually, that could be a cold front. Hopefully takes the edge off the humidity by the middle of next week.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, the Women's World Cup is back in action. Spain will take on the Netherlands tomorrow night at 8. Watch all the action right here on Fox 45. You can catch Fox 45 News at 10 on the CW Baltimore. Parents and educators are waiting on a ruling that could have a massive impact on kids. The battle over if students should be able to opt out of some lessons. Will the trial be moved out of D.C. while the judge overseeing the Trump election case says it's unlikely the former president gets his way?
High prices for food and gas still stinging family budgets. I'm Atra El-Nashar with a look at how much progress has actually been made on inflation ahead of a key report.
President Biden is in New Mexico today, marking the anniversary of the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act. And while the job market is strong and inflation's coming down, polls show the public isn't feeling that good about the economy. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar has a closer look ahead of a key inflation report due out tomorrow.
On paper, inflation is a lot better than it was this time a year ago, a message President Biden has been spreading on the road all summer.
We have more to do, but inflation is now at its lowest point in 2 years.
Overall, consumer prices have been on a steady decline from their peak of 9.1% in June of last year down to 3% in June of this year. But relief is hard to square with a national average gas price of $3.82 and unpredictable food prices subject to the volatility of extreme weather and Russia's war in Ukraine. For some items, shrinkflation, less product for the same price, is the new normal and has prompted a social media trend of looking for products with reduced content.
Doritos bags used to be 9.75 ounces, now they're 9.25 ounces.
According to a recent CNN SSRS poll, 44% of adults say economic issues are most important to them, and 75% rate the economy as poor. 63% disapprove of how President Biden is handling the economy. The White House pushing back.
Polls don't tell the entire story. We're going to continue to tell our story, tell what we have done in the past 2 years.
The administration frequently pointing to growing wages, which recently started outpacing inflation, a boon for workers that some at the Federal Reserve say could perpetuate inflation and push them to raise interest rates even higher. Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi.
One way you do that is you try to slow things down so that the businesses don't raise their prices as aggressively.
On Thursday morning, when the Labor Department releases July's consumer price index, economists expect it will show a 3.3% increase from the year before, still a ways off from the Fed's target rate of 2%. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
Well, also making headlines, former President Donald Trump wants his trial on charges that he tried to overturn the 2020 election moved out of Washington, D.C. Trump's legal team argues they can't get a fair trial in the overwhelmingly Democratic Capitol. However, the judge overseeing the case has denied similar motions from cases involving January 6 rioters. The judge saying jurors' political leanings don't mean they can't impartially consider the evidence. That's a sentiment shared by some of Trump's political rivals.
So, my view is, yeah, I believe jurors can be fair. I believe in the American people, and I believe in the fact that jurors will listen fairly and impartially.
If Trump's case stays, it will take place less than a mile from the Capitol where his supporters rioted on January 6. At the same time, indictments stemming from the Georgia 2020 election case could come as soon as next week. According to CNN, the Fulton County District Attorney is set to present her case before the grand jury over the next 2 days next week. The DA could seek several indictments, including racketeering charges. Trump has repeatedly attacked the Fulton County DA and claims she's acting against him for political reasons. Well, Senator Dianne Feinstein was briefly hospitalized yesterday after a fall in her San Francisco home. A spokesperson says the hospitalization was a precaution and that her scans were clear and she returned home. Concerns about the Senate's oldest member, who is 90 years old, have grown in the past year. The California Democrat had a lengthy absence from the Senate after a bout with shingles. Well, should students be able to opt out of hearing things their parents don't want them to learn? The battle over classroom curriculum, that's happening right now in Montgomery County. And thousands of Marylanders still without power tonight, asking a BGE spokesperson when the storm damage could be fully restored.
The debate over opting students in or out of certain curriculum is now playing out in Maryland's largest school system.
Today, a religious freedom case against Montgomery County Public Schools went before a U.S. district judge. Some parents want the right to pull their elementary schoolers from story hour books about gender and sexuality.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson reports this fight is unfolding as students get ready to head back to class later this month.
Inside this Greenbelt courthouse today, parents suing for the right to opt their children out of what they call pride-themed storybooks in Montgomery County Public Schools.
We're not challenging the curriculum. We're not asking the court to take these books out of the school. We want to respect the rights of parents to have the instruction they want for their children, but we are asking that parents who have an objection, that they're allowed to let their kids opt out of this instruction.
The parents behind the suit are Muslim, Catholic, and Ukrainian Orthodox, also joined with a Montgomery County interfaith group called Kids First, and claim certain books are age inappropriate and inconsistent with their faith, questioning the role of religious freedom in this debate about parental rights in education and curriculum.
We are imploring the Board of Education to respect our First Amendment rights to religious freedom. That's the real issue.
Court filings sharing a glimpse of some books and topics prompting the suit. Pride Puppy, which documents say asks young readers to search for images they might see at a pride parade, like the intersex flag, leather, or drag kings and queens. Love Violet, which court filings claim is a mandated book for fourth graders, described as a story of a same-sex crush at school. And court documents also naming this book, Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope, described as a story for fifth graders about gender transitioning. The suit says last year, parental requests to opt out of this instruction were honored, but the lawsuit claims this year parents won't have the same choice.
But if you are in kindergarten, pre-kindergarten through fifth grade, you're not allowed to opt out of the same instruction that's being infused into storybooks and story hour.
Outside the courthouse, some advocating for more equity and inclusivity in Montgomery County Public Schools.
When we think about inclusion and religious rights and religious inclusion, we see the need for more books and not less of them.
Transgender and queer people have existed since the beginning of time across societies all around the world, and many of us didn't get the chance and opportunity to learn about that.
While the judge weighs all arguments from inside the courtroom, this case in Montgomery County raising the question of how this debate over parental rights and religious reasons for wanting students opted out of certain instruction could impact other districts.
A favorable ruling sends a message throughout the country that the First Amendment still applies, that parents don't give up their rights just because they put their kids in public school.
Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
We're still waiting for a response from Montgomery County Public Schools.
Well, tonight, the Maryland State Department of Education has reversed course, allowing us to see parts of an email sent by State School Superintendent Dr. Mohammed Chowdhury that Project Baltimore has been trying to get answers to. But what we've uncovered is raising many more questions. The full email reveals the superintendent has a secondary government email that the public isn't aware of. A former high-level MSDE employee says they weren't even aware of this secondary email.
I believe they don't want you or the public to know that Mr. Chowdhury has a different email address that he could be conducting official MSDE business through. It doesn't look good. It makes it look bad.
Well, tonight on Fox 45 News at 10, why MSDE is still in violation of the law, according to a local attorney.
Baltimore City Comptroller Bill Henry will not run for mayor. He told the Baltimore Banner he will instead seek re-election as comptroller. Right now, the only name out there possibly challenging Mayor Scott is former Mayor Sheila Dixon. And we're seeing pictures of a dramatic crash and rescue from this morning in Baltimore County. This happened in Edgemere, right off North Point Boulevard. Crews say around 8 o'clock they arrived to find a crash with someone still trapped inside of this truck. After 20 minutes, the person inside was rescued. That person was airlifted to shock trauma in critical condition. Right now, there's no word, though, on what caused the crash, which remains under investigation.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore was in Ashburn, Virginia today. It was during the Washington Commanders training camp. The governor says he's committed to the Washington Commanders remaining in Maryland.
So we know that this is going to be a championship team going forward. It's exciting about the new vision that the new ownership has and coming on board. And I think it really does correlate and correspond well to how we're thinking about things in the state of Maryland. So we are excited for them to be able to build and grow and win in the state of Maryland.
Both Virginia and D.C. are also in the bidding to create a home for the Commanders, but Governor Moore says he's already engaged in talks with the new owners.
We're taking a look at the Fox 45 quad box. A nurse from New Hampshire and her daughter, kidnapped in Haiti, have been rescued. The two were taken from a clinic 2 weeks ago. No other information has been released or provided.
Well, Russia is accusing Ukraine of trying to attack Moscow again. The Kremlin says its air defenses shot down 2 drones approaching Moscow overnight. No one was hurt.
The United States is moving to ban some investments in China. The Biden administration is using executive action to ban private equity and venture capital investments in some Chinese tech companies. Beijing argues the U.S. is trying to stunt China's economic growth.
Well, Ohio will not move forward with a measure that would make it more difficult to change the state constitution. The measure would have required a 60% supermajority to pass future constitutional amendments. The state will keep its simple majority threshold. Be the first to know about breaking news by signing up for News on the Go. Go to foxbaltimore.com, click on Mobile Alert Sign Up under the Station tab.
We have continuing coverage on that damage on the massive storm that moved across Maryland on Monday. On the left side of your screen, the latest on the situation in Westminster. Still some damage out there. More than 30 poles, power poles, if you'll remember, were knocked down by the winds there. And on the right side of your screen, the conditions yesterday, along with a look at some of the intense flooding caused by rain.
Fox 45 hearing from some of those hit the hardest. One couple sharing this video, the inside of their car on Monday. A power line collapsed on top of them, trapping them in the vehicle with their 2 grandkids. For about 5 hours, you can see the power line surrounding their vehicle. Live wires forcing them to wait for a rescue. Luckily, no one was hurt, but again, almost 50 people trapped like that for hours in that storm.
Yeah, and tonight, 2 days after that storm, thousands of people still don't have power. In fact, according to BGE, their outage tracker, 15,000 Marylanders are out, still impacted by the power outages. New information on where and when the Republican candidates will face off. What we're learning about the primary debates. Doctors are sounding the alarm over a mental health concern they usually only see in the winter. We'll look into what's driving summer seasonal depression.
And we are tracking our next weather maker moving in from the west that could create some problems for your morning commute tomorrow. I'm timing it out hour by hour on the latest Future Scan computer model. All coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
There's new information about the second Republican presidential debate. It will take place at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California, September 27th. It will air on Fox Business. Fox is also airing the first debate, which airs in 2 weeks, August 23rd from Milwaukee. Candidates must meet donor and polling requirements for each and also pledge to support whoever the nominee is in the general election. Beginning Sunday, it's tax-free shopping week in Maryland, and there are a few tips to get your best bang for your money. Early this morning, Angie Barnett weighed in on how to make the most of those tax advantages for back-to-school shopping.
And some of the things you can think about, layaway. Right now, you could go and put things in layaway for Christmas, and if it's clothing, if it classifies in that category, you get the tax-free for that. You can order products online as long as you place the order and pay for the order during this next week.
You can watch the rest of the interview on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters. Now through the first day of school, we'll compile all things parents need to know to get their kids ready for school. Click on the QR code on your screen to check out all of the stories or go to our website, foxbaltimore.com/back-to-school-HQ. Experts say the oppressive heat is causing mental health issues for thousands of Americans. Since the start of summer, doctors are reporting a spike in cases of what they call seasonal affective disorder, something normally seen during the winter dark months. Dee Gatton has the story.
A lot of times we think summer is when people get a boost in their mood, but doctors say this summer they're seeing the opposite. With a record heat, people are cooped up inside to avoid heat-related illness. Not getting the sunlight can have an impact on your mood. Seasonal affective disorder may have you feeling irritated, depressed, or withdrawn. It's triggered by a seasonal change, not limited to winter months, that affects your emotional state.
Anyone is unfortunately susceptible to having this happen to them, but we do see a drastic change, usually in the colder months when there's less sunlight. So now when we're seeing in the summertime more numbers of seasonal affective disorder rising, it's alarming because it's not typical.
If inside, doctors encourage you to raise the blinds, use UV light lamps, and exercise. All simple steps that can help people elevate their mood. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Dee Gatton.
Well, after a rough start to the week, those storms cleared out for some beautiful weather. A little warmer out there today, but that's all right. This is a live look at Camden Yards, where the first-place Orioles are set to take on the Houston Astros tonight. Here's Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers. Jonathan, good baseball weather.
Yeah, and hopefully a little better result from the game. And as we head into tonight, it looks like gradually going to be turning more humid. I think the evening is still not going to be too bad, but late night and especially tomorrow, it's going to get a lot muggier, and that's because of showers and maybe even a thunderstorm moving in with our next weather maker for Thursday. Looks like it does turn hotter into this weekend, probably some 90s, and that's ahead of our next cold front that arrives next week. So there'll be an additional weather maker that we're watching. HD radar down toward Washington, D.C. Kettering, there's one lone shower left over there. Actually had a couple of downpours not too far from probably the White House earlier on this afternoon, maybe about an hour ago. Here in Baltimore, all the way to the north, nice and dry, but we did have a couple of showers also sprouting up around Carroll County, Frederick County. Those are at this point kind of moving away and really just kind of falling apart. You see them right there on the last couple of frames of the radar moving from Westminster and then east into Baltimore County and dissipating. But the next system, there it is out to the west. A lot of rain with that, and that probably comes for tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be a lot wetter for the commuting. Right now, 87. Towson looks good. This is a background, our traffic cam network. It's kind of focused on Charles Street here and also in the background, the Kenilworth area and also 695. Looks okay, at least traffic-wise, and the weather's helping out. Winds out of the west-northwest at about 10 miles an hour, humidity of 43%. Does feel a little warmer than it actually is. It's a warmer day, a little more humid day than yesterday. Feels like about 88. A few showers again skirting to our north, a couple of those bleeding across the state line. Could expect maybe a spot shower or rumble all the way through this evening. It should die out quick after sunset. Then the drier weather sets up again for tonight. But tomorrow, here we go. There's the next weather maker. It's a bigger one. We've got the rain and even some thunderstorms with it today. Won't be quite as much gusto as it comes through here, but on and off rain tomorrow. Could even see a rumble of thunder in there as well. And if you do get a thunderstorm, could get a couple of heavier downpours. You see by the key in the green. That could be an inch of rain in spots, but I think generally it'll be about 1/10 of an inch of rain or less. So future scan overnight into early tomorrow morning. There are your clouds increasing. Temperatures not quite as comfortable when you wake up tomorrow morning. Right about 70 degrees by about 7:30 a.m. Showers approaching from the west, getting here by about 9:30. On and off rain, maybe even a couple of downpours there by about noontime, all the way into the early afternoon before all this pulls east into tomorrow evening. So it's kind of an all-day affair here with the on and off rain for Thursday. Better pool day coming for Friday as we touch near 90, and there are your 90s for Saturday, Sunday. Could see a couple of showers, maybe a rumble of thunder there Monday, and that's going to be a cold front. Not going to be a whole lot colder behind it, but 85 to 90 and lesser humidity by the middle of next week.
Well, another round of Prime Day is coming in October. Amazon announced a saving event, but did not give specific dates. Prime Big Deal Days will be available to everybody, but Prime members will get better deals. The event will give discounts on items like tech, home goods, clothing, and beauty products. The deal days will be available in 19 countries, including the United States. X, the company formerly known as Twitter, is adding brand safety tools to Real Advisor's backend. X signed a one-year deal with an ad verification tech company. The company will use tools to make sure online ads don't show up near controversial content. This comes after recent reports that accuse the social media platform of more widespread hate speech and offensive content. ESPN has signed a $2 billion deal with casino owner Penn Entertainment. They will create a betting platform, ESPN Bet, this fall. Penn says it secured exclusive rights to the trademark for 10 years. As part of the deal, ESPN Talent will promote new venture, which will be integrated into ESPN's editorial, content, digital, and linear products. Penn was able to make the deal after selling sports website Barstool to its original founder. Hundreds of kids from across the country gathered in Aberdeen to play the sport they love. The Cal Ripken Senior Foundation selected 200 kids from across America to participate in a 3-day, all-expenses-paid baseball camp in Maryland. The camp focuses on character building and forming relationships with members of law enforcement. Representatives from police departments across Maryland met with kids, hoping to teach them about public safety. Kids at the camp say they love the experience.
My coaches, they really give us pep talks, and they make us the people we are today.
I like meeting the experience of meeting new people and trying new things.
Each night, campers engage in a discussion where they are asked to reflect on what they've learned and how they can take those lessons back to their communities for positive impact. An investigation is underway after a woman is found dead on a trail in Bel Air. Coming up at 5, the account of a man who says he found the woman. And a sneak peek of a new community event space in downtown Baltimore. We'll take our first look at the M&T Bank Exchange. There's new research today that could help you stay forever young. Medical reporter Liz Bonas shares the top 4 habits of highly healthy superagers.
Hey there, hello to you. Superagers are people who seem to age gracefully from the inside out. By the time they are 70 or 80 years old, they have the brain and body of a person decades younger.
Ready, set, go.
In addition to that, they appear to lose less brain volume over time with at least 4 healthy habits, according to researchers at Northwestern University.
I wasn't trying to, but I lost 10 pounds. I gained 6 pounds in muscle mass. I lost visceral fat.
The first is what Kathleen Alter started doing about a year ago at Ohio's Activate Brain and Body Fitness Center. She stepped up her physical activity.
The superagers had behavioral patterns earlier in life to help them slow the aging process of their brain.
That means exercise science specialist Adam Ortman says they started these habits.
So in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s.
Moms Erin and Danielle got that message.
We're in the top 5 young people.
They've also picked up superager habit number 2. They challenge themselves. So tell me about that. Tell me about the brain benefit.
So as a mom of 3 and multitasking and doing a lot of things, this is a time to come here and focus on me.
If you can work brain and body at the same time.
And you have to remember the pattern that they lit up and hit that pattern.
This dual task training builds what's called cognitive reserve,
which is essentially like a savings account for your brain.
The third habit of highly healthy superagers is that in addition to building body and brain,
I've noticed that I'm improving things that I can do, whether it's recall, memory, following instructions, sort of things like that.
They occasionally indulge, whether it's a glass of wine or a weekly dessert. Those who moderately splurge as part of an active lifestyle appear to be less likely to develop memory problems and Alzheimer's with age. Finally, superagers are super social. When researchers study their brains, they appear to have 4 to 5 times the number of certain neurons linked to social awareness. This compared to the average person the same age. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonas. Back to you.
Here's some good news for folks who are comedy fans. Comedian Chris Tucker, you remember the classic Friday rush hour movies? Chris Tucker is coming to Baltimore on October 22nd. He'll perform at the Hippodrome Theater downtown as part of his Legend Tour. I have seen him. He is hilarious. It's his first nationwide tour in over a decade. Pre-sale tickets for the event go on sale tomorrow at 10 o'clock before they're open to the public at large on Friday. For more information, go to our website, foxbaltimore.com. Today, we got our first look at the M&T Bank Exchange at the France Merrick Performing Arts Center. The $20 million project renovated an historic building to create a new community space. Mark Clark spoke with the Exchange's executive director about the changes.
The cool thing about this building is it's a historic building, as you can see, and it is outfitted with the latest technology, sound and lights. It really has all the amenities you need to throw an amazing event.
I know people are, this is, for a lot of people, the first time they're seeing this, first time I'm seeing it. And so what are you most excited about, and when can people start making arrangements to get in here?
I'm most excited about the Baltimore community and the surrounding Maryland region. This is really supposed to be an event space for cultural exchange. We want everybody to be able to use the space in any way they'd like to. So the flexibility was super important.
Well, the public can get their first look at the new space during the Best of Baltimore party later this month. The venue will officially open in October. Jonathan.
All right, nice looking place, and kind of looks like as we head towards the weekend forecast, things are going to be rain-free for getaways, at least on our computer model, through Friday. That's good news, although tomorrow is a little bit wet. Friday should be hot, but less humid. And then now, at least computer model saying Saturday, mainly dry. Saturday night, there could be a couple of showers and thunderstorms, and hopefully those push south and east by Sunday. But look down the ocean. There could be a couple of spot storms down around there. So near 90 Friday. Again, Saturday, Sunday during the day should be primarily dry, but it will be hot with highs in the low to mid 90s. And oh, by the way, if you're planning on hitting the O's game this evening and watching the O's make some hits, first pitch 86 degrees at 7:05. Fifth inning, we're at 83 and 82. Mostly cloudy skies. Ninth inning, I think we should be dry for this game. Go O's.
Go O's. Thank you, Jonathan. There is a winner. Can you believe it? And it wasn't married. It wasn't me because I'm here at work. for the $1.58 billion Mega Millions jackpot. Lottery officials say the winning ticket was sold at a Publix, yeah, you know that's in the South, in Neptune Beach, Florida. Whoever won the money also had the option of a lump sum payment of about $783 million before taxes. The jackpot is the largest in the lottery's history. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, thousands of Marylanders still don't have power after those wicked storms on Monday. The efforts from BGE to get power back. And the search continues for the person responsible for killing a mother of 5 in Harford County. A first-hand account from the man who says he discovered her body. Breaking news, the former leader of a major nonprofit in Baltimore faces federal charges. What he's accused of doing.
The search continues for the one responsible for killing a Harford County mother of 5. We speak directly to the man who found her and the horrific scene.
And cleanup continues following Monday's wicked storms. We'll bring you the very latest from Carroll County.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
Well, breaking tonight, Reginald Davis, the former CEO of the major nonprofit in Baltimore, has been indicted. He's accused of illegally obtaining more than $1 million in COVID relief money. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Mary Bubala.
I'm Kai Jackson. This is just the latest news to hit the nonprofit, Strong City, Baltimore.
Fox 45 News following all of the breaking developments from court today.
Let's go right to Mackenzie Frost, who's live outside the courthouse with the very latest. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Kai and Mary, Reginald Davis pleaded not guilty during his arraignment earlier this afternoon. He's facing money laundering as well as wire fraud charges. When he was leaving the courthouse, he didn't say anything, and his attorney said he had no comment. Now, Strong City Baltimore acts as a nonprofit as well as a fiscal sponsor to smaller other nonprofits across the city. And up until December of last year, Davis was CEO of this organization. Now, according to federal prosecutors, Strong City Baltimore had a budget shortfall. They were facing some financial troubles, and that's when these prosecutors say Davis fraudulently used and spent $1.4 million worth of COVID relief and used the Paycheck Protection Program funds, or the PPP loan, to help cover this organization's shortfall. Now, there have been reports that Strong City was in financial hot water for several years, and Adam Angievsky, a taxpayer watchdog, says the news of this indictment is no surprise.
So you had all these organizations saying that Strong Cities Baltimore wasn't managing their own money properly. They weren't filing their payroll on a timely basis. They weren't filing their financial statements. And yet we identified $800,000 in city funds and city school funds flowed with a lack of transparency and no accountability to the organization as late as February of 2022.
Now, in the indictment, it does not specifically name any nonprofits that were working with Strong City at the time. Mary?
See, what happens next then for Davis?
Well, he has been released, and there have been some conditions placed on that release, including surrendering his passport. Currently, Davis is unemployed, but if he does get a job, the judge has ordered him to disclose this current indictment and these charges to any potential employer. Another court date has not yet been scheduled. And Mary, we did reach out to Strong City Baltimore for a comment to react to this indictment, but so far, we haven't heard back. We're live downtown. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. Fox 45 News has been questioning the taxpayer dollars going to nonprofits for a while. Last month, we learned the city awarded a grant to a nonprofit run by Baltimore Mayor Scott's girlfriend. Before that, Adam Andrzejewski looked into the 10 nonprofits the city gave the most money to in 2021. While some of those organizations are transparent about how they spend money, some are not. Andrzejewski isn't the only one calling for transparency.
It's possible this is happening at other nonprofits, and we just don't know about that. With so much more money coming into the city from the federal government to address a lot of issues, including public safety, more money is going to be going to nonprofits. And this problem needs to be solved sooner rather than later.
Fox 45 News has pressed City Council President Nick Mosby about how the city keeps track of millions of taxpayer dollars it hands out to nonprofits. Mr. Mosby said while there is enough oversight for some awards, there should be more for others. City Council member Yitzi Schleifer has introduced a bill that would require nonprofits to show exactly how they use money, but it has not had a hearing at this time. Stay with Fox 45 News. We'll take a closer look into these questions surrounding the money going to Baltimore City nonprofits coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. For more on this story and the latest developments in the case, head to our website, foxbaltimore.com.
My daughter called me in a panic, saying that there was a girl missing down at Mom Pa Trail, and I just kept seeing tunnels in my mind. I don't know why, but I just kept seeing tunnels.
Continuing coverage, it's a dramatic first-hand account from the man who says he uncovered the body of 37-year-old Rachel Morin. As investigators have already announced, the mother of 5 was found on the Ma and Pa Trail early Sunday afternoon after her boyfriend reported her missing Saturday night. But tonight, chilling new details into the deadly discovery. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor joins us live from the trail with more from this man. Rebecca?
Mary, brutal and gruesome is how Michael Jabrzeski describes what he and his stepdaughter say they uncovered. Today, he took us to the Ma and Pa Trail to show us exactly where he says he uncovered Morin's body. It wasn't far from the William Street entrance here at Estimate, only about a quarter-mile in. And before we share what he says he saw, we do want to warn viewers the details are graphic and what you're about to hear might be disturbing.
I had never walked it myself.
For Michael Jabrzeski,
I told my stepdaughter, I said, look, it's not going to be laying out in the open.
the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, uncharted territory.
I said, she's going to be tucked away somewhere.
But the former National Park search and rescue officer has extensive experience tracking down missing people.
So basically, it's my passion to bring closure to that family by bringing her back and not having them wonder what happened.
Following reports, 37-year-old Rachel Morin left for a walk and never returned, Jabrzeski and his stepdaughter taking off on a search rooted on instinct.
I just kept seeing tunnels in my mind. I don't know why, but I just kept seeing tunnels.
Despite law enforcement swarming the area for almost a full day, Jabrzeski's stepdaughter locating the body in about an hour. The deadly discovery.
Once we got down there and I started seeing them tunnels, I started getting goosebumps.
Made in a tunnel drain not far from the trail's main entrance.
I saw a terrible mess.
Jabrzeski's visions meeting the reality of a gruesome scene.
There's not going to be an open casket, I can guarantee you that.
He says Morin's body found in a pool of blood, suffering severe head trauma, an injury he believes could be the result of a rock.
My daughter said that there was a big rock down there that was all caked in blood.
I understand many of you want answers, and we do too.
The latest update from the Harford County Sheriff's Department declining to mention how Morin died and not yet naming a suspect. This as Morin's boyfriend quickly taking to social media, proclaiming his innocence. Richard Tobin writing, quote, "I love Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I grieve."
I mean, it could have been his way of grieving, but it's not about you. It's about her. It's about bringing her home. And somebody's mother, somebody's daughter. She left behind 5 children.
Whoever the killer is, Gabrzeski convinced it's someone with close ties to the victim.
Because it's too personal. If somebody were just to do a thrill kill, it wouldn't be as brutal as what we witnessed.
Now, court records reveal Morin's boyfriend does have a history of domestic violence accusations. In today's brief update from the Harford County Sheriff's Office, they did say that the boyfriend has been interviewed. However, they also said this is very much an ongoing investigation, and at this point, they're not ready to name any suspects in this case. Reporting live from the Ma and Pa Trail, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. Continuing coverage tonight, lawmakers and prosecutors are raising concern about existing juvenile justice laws they say are leading to more crime among young people. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker joins us live right now with strong words from one state delegate and the changes he says are necessary. Maxine?
Well, Kai, Delegate Nino Mangione says it's time to put the pressure on the Democrats to change these laws that he says are letting juveniles get away with crime with no consequences.
Across Maryland, more young people are not only falling victim to crime and violence, but too often they're the perpetrators too.
This never used to happen, but now 10, 12, 13-year-olds are stealing cars.
That's Republican State Delegate Nino Mangione reacting to the news of more than a dozen young people arrested for a series of crimes involving stolen cars last week in Anne Arundel County. In more than one case, some of them just 11 and 12 years old, were too young to be charged.
We need to send a message that there needs to be discipline, especially for young juveniles.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Act limits children under 13 to charges for crimes of violence and says a juvenile under 10 cannot be charged.
I know part of the premise behind the bill was to get services for these, and I think services for these juveniles is an important step. But the most important step here is making sure our community is safe, our streets are safe, and getting especially violent juveniles off the streets.
It's a law Delegate Mangione says has done more harm than good, allowing juveniles to get away with serious crimes with little to no consequence.
I think we must defer to law enforcement and design effective strategies to prevent violent crime and work with prosecutors to impose tough penalties on those, especially the juveniles who commit violent acts. And we should start early and make certain that juveniles know that there is accountability.
Even prosecutors are raising concerns.
They know that, nothing's really going to happen to them if they keep their crime in a certain limit of types of crime.
10 states attorneys across Maryland, including Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy, says it's making their jobs harder when it comes to holding young people accountable.
They come in, we can't detain them, they're back in the community the next day. They get picked up for the second one. Can't detain them. They're back in the community again the next day. They pick up a third. They're back in the community again the next day. That is frustrating to the community and frustrating to us because without the detention, we are, in many instances, we're really not getting the attention of the child.
As 2 Maryland legislative committees plan to look into accusations juvenile justice reform laws are contributing to the problem, Mangione says he doesn't expect much to come of it. Instead, he'd support a special session.
Right now, criminals, all ages in Maryland know that you can get away with a lot in this state, and it's because failed policies like this juvenile justice law that allow for this.
Now, the Child Interrogation Protection Act is another law on the books that legislators and some prosecutors take issue with, saying that it ties the hands of police. Reporting live in Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. We've been asking you what you think. Should elected leaders prioritize laws that protect criminals or the public? 90% of those who voted said the public. That brings us to our question of the day. Would you support officials who demand lawmakers pass tougher crime legislation? So far, 100% of voters say yes. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
Well, residents across the state continue cleanup efforts following this week's severe storms, which caused some major damage. We saw everything from dozens of down power lines to massive trees falling left and right, some on top of homes. Well, this was the scene in Westminster when a whole line of power lines were ripped out of the ground. Some of them just snapped, and at one point trapping more than 40 people in their cars. As of today, crews are still hard at work out there getting the roadway clear of those massive poles, but it does seem that a majority have been cleared, at least out of the roadway.
At the height of the storm, more than 120,000 people lost power. Let's take a live look at BGE's outage tracker. As of today, 15,000 still don't have power.
In Harford County, residents will be able to dispose of any debris that may have fallen during the storms. Throughout the county, there are 6 locations available today through Sunday from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. There is no cost to drop off tree branches and other natural debris. There is a maximum size for these branches of 6 feet long by 12 inches in diameter. Proof of residency is also required. You can find more on the site on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Well, still ahead tonight, Fox 45 News continues to look into the Safe Streets program following an alarming letter surrounding the program's staffing, why critics argue the mayor is mishandling taxpayer dollars.
Should companies be judged by how environmentally friendly they are? The major credit company that's doing away with the controversial practice.
Plus, the Ravens preseason opener against the Eagles is this Saturday. Morgan Atsit is in Owings Mills with all the highlights heading into the game.
And if you'll be headed out to dinner this evening, temperatures looking pretty good. A little extra humidity, a little bit warmer than it was last night. Same time, 87 degrees as we head through about 6, 7 o'clock. And dropping into the mid to upper 70s later. I'm going to let you know when showers and storms could ruin your plans. That's coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
The Ravens had an eventful day at training camp today, and that was before they even stepped foot on the field. A contract extension and a player's return to the practice field. Ravens receiver and who they hope is their number one, Rashad Bateman, is back on the field, removed off the physically unable to perform list with that surgically repaired foot that ended last season for him after 7 games. Bateman was shut down this offseason after organized team activities and missed mandatory minicamp. This was his first practice of 2023. While full speed and individuals, the rest of practice was a ramp-up period for the receiver in year 3. Bateman was not available after practice for comment or head coach John Harbaugh. Prior to practice, the Ravens extended defensive lineman Broderick Washington. Washington, who's in the final year of his rookie contract, got an additional 3 years north of $15 million. Perhaps a surprising extension just given his name and lack of production thus far, but Washington is expected to make a jump this season after the departure of Calais Campbell and see his most playing time this season.
I'm filled with emotion. I'm happy to be able to call. I'm happy to be able to be home for the next 3 years.
Timing-wise, were you anticipating it happening right now in camp before the season started?
Not at all. I didn't want to let it get to my head because at the end of the day, I'm still trying to get better. And I barely scratched the surface of what I could really be. And I just look forward to the opportunity to be able to do that here.
That extension for Washington was necessary along the defensive line. Only Washington and Travis Jones are signed for the Ravens beyond this season. Reporting in Owings Mills, I'm Morgan Adsit for Sports Unlimited.
Some weather changes coming our way over the next several days. Will be turning more humid by late tonight into tomorrow. Thursday, showers and even a thunderstorm with our next weather maker. It turns hotter into the weekend. We could be well into the 90s, perhaps Friday, especially Saturday, Sunday. And then the next cold front comes in for next week, should put some relief in our sights by then. But until then, have seen a couple of showers here and there. Kind of dotting across northern portions of the area and then down around D.C. There's really nothing going on right now. But really what catches your eye is what is out to our west. Look at this round of rain and thunderstorms from Bowling Green to Nashville, Indianapolis. This is our next weather maker that's moving eastbound. Maybe we won't see the severe weather that they're going to be seeing, like the problems with the flooding that they may be seeing as well for today. But tomorrow, we could get our own little bout of rain. 86 right now, still good looking if you're going to be headed down Charles Street or headed down 83 to the O's game at 7:05. Things looking good on the traffic camera network with lots of sun, and the traffic not looking too bad either. 86 with the wind out of the northwest at 5. A little bit more muggy than yesterday. Feels like 88, so it's not quite that almost refreshing feel that we had on Tuesday afternoon. Again, that little disturbance to our north, couple little sprinkles, light showers. By sunset, those are pretty much all gone. It's mainly remaining dry tonight, but showers and even some thunderstorms, those line up out to the west, and that's our next weather maker. Really on and off all day tomorrow. I think it's umbrellas out as we see, again, a more steadier rain and maybe even some embedded thunderstorms. And if you get one of those thunderstorms, could have, as you see by the key, up to about a ½ inch, maybe inch of rain. But I think for the most part, it's just going to be kind of a relaxed rain that's falling during the day tomorrow. And you see here into the overnight hours, the clouds will increase. They will thicken. I don't think a whole lot of rain by the early commute tomorrow by 7:30 a.m. But the later you wait, the better risk of some showers and maybe even a rumble of thunder. And that goes all the way through lunchtime and all the way into the afternoon as well, before during the evening hours pushing east and out. By 10:15, you're seeing there the clearing skies rolling in. We're near 90 sunshine, less humidity on Friday, but we're back at it. Hot, blazingly humid as well for Saturday. Sunday highs low to mid 90s, stays near 90 until Monday of next week. And then I think a little less humidity with Monday being a cold front, showers and storms there up near 89 and drier Tuesday.
Trending tonight, not only is he internationally recognized, his TikTok views are in the millions. His work has also been on display in multiple museums, including the Baltimore Museum of Art and the American Visionary Arts Museum. Well, today on Fox 45 Morning News, Baltimore native Sam Barsky joined us live to show off his impressive hand-knitted sweater collection that everybody loves.
Now, how did you get started? I mean, you started doing this, and first of all, how many sweaters do you have right now?
162 and counting.
And you've been knitting these for a little while now. So how do you pick out your yarn and find out, okay, I'm going to make this sweater? How do you come up with the ideas? I know you travel a lot, so is that tied in completely?
So anything that crosses my eyes is a potential sweater, but very often I'm making one for an upcoming trip where I want to take a picture in front of a landmark there.
Although Sam does not actually sell the sweaters, he does sell T-shirt replicas. You can find all of the information right on our website, sambarskyofficial.com. Well, still ahead, former President Donald Trump looking to change to the location of his trial. Why his attorneys argue that being in Washington, D.C. would be unfair. Plus, more insight into the overall staffing situation within the Safe Streets program. The new questions coming to light.
ESG ratings on the chopping block. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington with more on the changes handed down from one of the biggest credit rating agencies.
Making headlines tonight, one of the biggest corporate credit raters will no longer hand out scores for how green or diverse a company is. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the story.
The S&P dropping ESG scores. Since 2021, S&P Global assessed corporate borrowers' environment, social, and government risks as part of their credit rating. The reversal seen as a win for conservatives, growing increasingly critical of the practice.
I think it's about time that people who are supposed to have a fiduciary duty to their clients and are supposed to be accurately rating risk do so instead of trying to go down these politically inspired rabbit holes.
Last fall, a group of Republican states attorneys generals launched an investigation into S&P's ESG scoring system for potential violations of consumer protection. Texas AG Ken Paxton writing, ESG evaluations appear to politicize what should be a purely financial decision.
To me, this is ironic because Ken Paxton and the attorney generals are bringing politics into the private investing decisions of individuals.
University of Michigan's business school professor Tom Lyon has studied ESG ratings for years.
Research has shown that ESG ratings help predict future environmental problems, violations, and monetary penalties. So investors see them as useful to help them do a better job of evaluating investments.
Meanwhile, Target facing a lawsuit from stockholders who blame backlash from the company's ESG and DEI initiatives, like the family-themed summer LGBTQ+ line, for the recent $12 billion loss of share value.
There certainly is a case to be made here that the people in charge have abandoned their duty to their clients. Again, in this case, the shareholders.
Analysts point out Target's stock drop and struggling sales are more likely due to stubborn inflation that has changed spending habits.
As for S&P's changes, companies will continue to receive an ESG assessment from S&P, although through a written narrative rather than a numerical score. Officials say changes will go into effect immediately. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Well, coming up after the break, a heated debate over books about gender and sexuality. We hear from both sides as students get ready to head back to the classroom. Plus, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis making big moves in the Sunshine State, why some argue his latest actions are destroying democracy as a whole.
House Republicans investigating Hunter Biden say they're following the money. So where has it led them? I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington with the new revelations.
Well, the debate over opting students in or out of certain curriculum now playing out in Maryland's largest school district.
Well, today, a religious freedom case against Montgomery County Public Schools went before a U.S. district judge.
Some parents want the right to pull their elementary schoolers from story hour books about gender and sexuality.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson reports this fight is unfolding as students get ready to head back to class.
Inside this Greenbelt courthouse today, parents suing for the right to opt their children out of what they call pride-themed storybooks in Montgomery County Public Schools.
We're not challenging the curriculum. We're not asking the court to take these books out of the school. We want to respect the rights of parents to have the instruction they want for their children, but we are asking that parents who have an objection, they're allowed to let their kids opt out of this instruction.
The parents behind the suit are Muslim, Catholic, and Ukrainian Orthodox. Also joined with a Montgomery County interfaith group called Kids First, and claim certain books are age inappropriate and inconsistent with their faith, questioning the role of religious freedom in this debate about parental rights in education and curriculum.
We are imploring the Board of Education to respect our First Amendment rights to religious freedom. That's the real issue.
Court filings sharing a glimpse of some books and topics prompting the suit. Pride Puppy, which documents say asks young readers to search for images they might see at a pride parade, like the intersex flag, leather, or drag kings and queens. Love Violet, which court filings claim is a mandated book for fourth graders, described as a story of a same-sex crush at school. And court documents also naming this book, Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope, described as a story for fifth graders about gender transitioning. The suit says last year, parental requests to opt out of this instruction were honored, but the lawsuit claims this year parents won't have the same choice.
But if you are in kindergarten, pre-kindergarten through fifth grade, you're not allowed to opt out of the same instruction that's being infused into storybooks and story hour.
Outside the courthouse, some advocating for more equity and inclusivity in Montgomery County Public Schools.
When we think about inclusion and religious rights and religious inclusion, we see the need for more books and not less of them.
Transgender and queer people have existed since the beginning of time across societies all around the world, and many of us didn't get the chance and opportunity to learn about that.
While the judge weighs all arguments from inside the courtroom, this case in Montgomery County raising the question of how this debate over parental rights and religious reasons for wanting students opted out of certain instruction could impact other districts.
A favorable ruling sends a message throughout the country that the First Amendment still applies, that parents don't give up their rights just because they put their kids in public school.
Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
And in a statement to Fox 45 News, a spokesperson for Montgomery County Public Schools said they appreciate the proceedings and respect the process to reach a decision in this matter.
Tonight, the Maryland State Department of Education is now allowing us to see parts of an email sent by State School Superintendent Dr. Muhammad Chowdhury. Project Baltimore has been trying to get answers to it. What we've uncovered is raising many more questions. The full email reveals the superintendent has a secondary government email that the public isn't aware of. A former high-level MSDE employee says they weren't even aware of the existence of the secondary email.
I believe they don't want you or the public to know that Mr. Chowdhury has a different email address that he could be conducting official MSDE business through. It doesn't look good. Makes it look bad.
Tonight on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock, why MSDE is still in violation of the law, according to a local attorney.
Well, turning now to a city in crisis, a warning from the nonprofits implementing the Safe Streets program about dangerously understaffed locations across Baltimore. This, according to a June letter that was sent to Deputy Mayor Anthony Barksdale, obtained by Fox 45 News through a public records request. It was signed by Adam Rosenberg of LifeBridge Health Center for Hope and Kevin Keegan of Catholic Charities. Today on Fox 45 Morning News, lifelong resident Pastor P.M. Smith joined us to weigh in.
It's all a deflection. Follow the money. The mayor gives millions of dollars to two organizations, Mr. Rosenberg, Mr. Keegan. We know nothing about them. We don't know how they recruit. We don't know how they train. We don't know how they hire. We don't know how they mediate. They don't report to anybody. They are more secret than the circuit court grand jury. This, I believe, is a way that the mayor puts money someplace, tax dollar money, COVID money, but he didn't give it to the fire department. He didn't give it to Mr. Bates. Mr. Bates only wanted $800,000. And we're talking about crime and violence. We're talking about prevention and intervention. He doesn't know what he's doing.
In a joint statement to Fox 45 News, the leaders at LifeBridge and Catholic Charities said the letter was sent to ensure optimal operation of the 10 Safe Streets sites. Monzi does not have a permanent director right now. Stephanie Mavronis, who previously served as chief of staff for former director Shante Jackson, currently the acting director of the agency.
Fox 45 News has been demanding answers from Monzi about the Safe Streets program for years. We want to know more about the ex-convicts the program hires and how the city ensures employees aren't committing crimes while working for the program. The city won't tell us how Safe Streets employees are trained or how they track their hours. Fox 45 News has also asked what a Safe Streets mediation includes and how those are tracked, as well as how the program measures success. The mayor's office refuses to answer our questions. Fox 45 News will seek transparency to the Safe Streets program and how your taxpayer dollars are being spent. You can find all of our reporting on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Well, continuing coverage tonight, another document dump of Hunter Biden's business records released by the House Oversight Committee.
House Republicans say they've now identified more than $20 million in payments from foreign sources to members of the Biden family and their business associates, and that they have the bank records to prove it.
National correspondent Christine Frizzau has poured through the records and has an update.
It's the latest example of what House Republicans call a pattern of corruption. The just released documents show multiple payments, often in the amount of $83,000, from the Ukrainian gas company Burisma to Rosemont Seneca Bohai, totaling more than $3 million. That account also received a payment of $142,300, the exact amount Hunter Biden reportedly paid out the next day to buy a sports car, seen here on thedailymail.com. The latest memo also detailing another $3.5 million from the widow of a Russian oligarch transferred to Rosemont Seneca Thornton.
They really did set up a myriad of dozens of LLCs through which to flow the money. And it was clearly designed to obscure the fact that money coming from overseas, particularly China, but also Ukraine and even from Russia.
Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devin Archer, revealing in closed-door testimony last week that Joe Biden, who previously denied any involvement in his son's business dealings, listened in on phone calls over speakerphone and even appeared in person at 2 business dinners, including this one at Cafe Milano in Washington, D.C. Though Democrats call the assessment overblown, highlighting other aspects of Archer's testimony, including that the elder Biden, then serving as vice president, never discussed business.
It was all casual conversation, niceties, the weather, what's going on. There wasn't a single conversation about any of the business dealings that Hunter had.
Democrats accusing Republicans of trying to turn the attention away from former President Trump and his mounting legal troubles, as Republicans hint an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden could be coming to Capitol Hill this fall.
We're all the American people have with respect to getting the truth about what the Bidens really did to receive the millions and millions of dollars from foreign nationals.
Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer vowing to follow the money. This latest release, just one part of that effort. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
Former President Trump wants his 2020 election subversion trial moved out of Washington, D.C., but he may face long odds to do that. Trump's legal team argues the Republican can't get a fair trial in the overwhelmingly Democratic capital of the nation. They're eyeing West Virginia, where Trump easily won in 2020. But the judge overseeing Trump's trial refused to let any January 6th rioters do so, arguing jurors' political leanings don't mean they can't impartially consider evidence. Trump's GOP rivals agree, with former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie weighing in on Sunday.
So, my view is, I believe jurors can be fair. I believe in the American people, and I believe in the fact that jurors will listen fairly and impartially.
If Trump's case stays, it will take place less than a mile from the Capitol, where his supporters rioted on January 6, 2021.
Well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is suspending Orlando's top prosecutor. The governor announcing today State Attorney Monique Worrell has been suspended effective immediately. Worrell was the state attorney for the 9th Judicial Circuit. The governor saying the move is due to what he calls her neglect of duty to prosecute criminals.
Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law. One's political agenda cannot trump this solemn duty. Refusing to faithfully enforce the laws of Florida puts our communities in danger and victimizes innocent Floridians.
The governor's office says some of the grievances against Worrell include her office avoiding minimum mandatory sentences for gun crimes, allowing juvenile offenders to avoid serious charges and incarceration, and avoiding minimum mandatory sentences for drug trafficking offenses. Worrell is speaking out about the suspension, saying it's an outrage, politically motivated, and a sign of a loss in the democratic process.
This is simply a smokescreen for Ron DeSantis' failing and disastrous presidential campaign. He needed to get back in the media in some positive way that would be red meat for his base, and he will have accomplished that today. DeSantis tapped Orange County Judge Andrew Bain, a conservative, to replace her. It is the second time DeSantis, who's running for president, has removed an elected Democratic state attorney.
Still ahead, juvenile justice laws on the books are under the microscope. We press state leaders on the impact they're having.
For many Americans, it's considered the last resort, but new data shows more Americans are taking money out of their retirement savings. The options financial experts say to consider before you do.
And we're tracking the next weather maker. Plus, we are tracking the start of school. It's just over a couple of weeks till Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and a few other counties head on back. 27 days for Carroll County, as well as some of those Eastern Shore counties like Caroline County, Cecil County, Kent County, 19 days for Queen Anne's and Talbot. I'm going to let you know when showers and storms going to be rolling back in, though. That's in my Weather Authority forecast.